Memory transcription subject. Captain Sovlin, United Nations Fleet Command. Date. Standardized human time. March 25th, 2137. Aside from my visit following the Battle of Earth, I hadn't been to the Kolshian homeworld in a long time. Russell used to invite me to family celebrations when he'd return home and pass along his stories from the warfront. On occasion, I accepted my protege's offer to mingle with his family. I hadn't been interested in reminders of my non-existent loved ones by seeing his happiness with his relatives, so it had been years since I wandered this city. The UN transport touched down on a rooftop landing pad, and I could see that time hadn't changed the Federation capital much. Massive arrangements of flowers were maintained atop buildings, with the more complex artwork denoting prestige. Botany was viewed as the most peaceful, prey-like pastime, but this was the sole planet where it was a lucrative career. There was no architecture with as many adornments as the School of the Flora, which took in students from across the galaxy. Each building had its own colour scheme, with words spelled out in Kolshian and pretentious common engravings. It crossed my mind that even the name of the diplomat's tongue stemmed from the word Commonwealth, showing who was really in charge. Yet for centuries, no race had realised who the Federation served. With the full scale of what had been taken from Gajid kind, the skyline that once inspired me with awe and purpose smelled rotten. While a masked Tyler and Samantha were enamoured by the view from on high, I didn't want to waste a second sightseeing. There was still work to do, ensuring that the secret cast ended today. I couldn't return to Earth where Hunter and Vizith needed my guidance until the mission was seen to completion. I hadn't even allowed myself to think of the future until victory was ours. I could act as a father again. It blew my mind that we defeated the Shadow Fleet and that subservient species could reclaim power in our own lives. Halfa was at humanity's mercy, and I hoped the Predators would use that power to sniff out any of the secrets the conspiracy had. "Let's get moving," I grumbled. "Remind me why we landed on the roofs, not the streets." Tyler heaved a sigh.
You know why. There's no telling how the Kolshians will react to Predators touching down in their grill. Last thing we need is to get caught up in a stampede or to get mobbed or shot at. For all we know, there's Shadowcast agents lying in wait to gun us down.
I feel like there was something in that last thought. Maybe someone saw us landing here, and standing here admiring the view is painting a target on our backs.
Baldy's right,
Bonzo chimed in. My claws angled toward him in a threatening gesture due to the use of that nickname.
Sooner we find out what happened to Slanik and get out of here, the better.
Samantha leaned back on her heels.
We need a way down to the surface.
Well, I can see the whole city. While I'm admiring the view, the crowds are over by the Federation Hall, along with some shit burning. Means we're clear to head on down. I say we take the elevator and walk out the front door.
Tyler growled. The female human shrugged.
Beats listening to Baldy screaming in my ear, rappelling down the side of the skyscraper. I'm not sure what our plan is to flush out the Shadowcast, but I'm glad another team's responsible for seizing the Governance Hall.
That's where I'm useful. I've been here several times and I know the basic layout, I chimed in. Some civilian might talk to me about who's involved with seditious activity. That's our best bet to get any insider info. Tyler nodded in agreement with my plan before we hurried down the rooftop access. The skyscraper, which appeared to have been a hedge fund management venture, was all but vacant. Pooling the resources of wealthy investors didn't seem to be a priority, with predator ships in orbital control. Electricity hadn't been cut off, so the four of us squeezed into the elevator. I shouldered my rifle, ready for any threats when we reached the lobby. There was nobody to greet us when the doors swung open at the ground floor. Even the dumbest Kolshian knew that camping out in a towering building wasn't ideal if antimatter bombs hit. While I said I might be able to get Kolshians to talk to us, that might be more difficult than it seems with the humans here. I remember how Russell shuddered when he first saw Marcel. The reason seeking out information would be a struggle became evident once someone saw our group hustling out onto the streets. A single scream from a passerby, followed by pointing at us with an indigo tentacle, caused anyone walking nearby to scatter. I contemplated where the Kolshians wouldn't be able to run, which left anyone who stayed in their residences. After taking the moment to catch my bearings, I led the humans toward the setting sun. Our posse traipsed down the eerie sidewalk. I knew we were forced to barge into someone's home and intimidate them. All we sought was a small pointer in the right direction, for anyone who might talk to us willingly.
Where is the Shadowcast? They're not resisting our invasion at all.
Onzo mused aloud as we maneuvered through the walkable city. Samantha snickered.
I think they're more preoccupied with keeping their own citizens at bay. The stunts they pulled today couldn't have been popular. Plus, they lost to us.
We'll see how the average Kolshian feels about their government and conspiracy if we can get someone to have a conversation with us, I mumbled. But first, I need you two to act predatory. Nobody's crawling out of the woodwork to speak with us, so we need to bust into someone's home and get some pointers.
What? You want us to go and intimidate people?
Tyler stiffened as he noticed the row of compact houses which looked like oversized storage crates.
Fucking hell. How are you sure there even is anyone left alive who stood against the government before all this?
Because I knew Rissell wouldn't have stood for the things we've learned about the Commonwealth. He wasn't the only Kolshian with integrity who would have been revolted by this tyranny. I just imagine the smart ones operated in secrecy, like the Shadowcast they're opposing.
You better be right, Sovlin, or we're wasting precious time they could be using to tie up loose ends.
What happens to Slanik doesn't hinge on my plan. You have no alternative ideas for where to start the search, and no intel on the Shadowcast's location. Are you in or are you out? Tyler hesitated.
You sure have wonderful ways of speaking to your commanding officer. But you're right that we ain't got nothing on these guys. They're ghosts. The cities are likely as anyone to have theories. Maybe the Kolshians got an Area 51 place.
You were?
Onzo questioned.
A secret base that everyone guesses what the government's doing there. Even if it's under the ocean like their nukes, that's way too big a search area. We got to narrow it down. So tell me what door we're kicking down.
I searched for the house with the nicest garden and trundled up to that doorstep. The humans followed before Tyler's leg removed the barrier from its hinges with a powerful kick. The Terran soldiers stormed forward, sweeping the house with guns out. They found a whimpering Kolshian beneath her kitchen table and dragged her out screaming. Samantha jabbed her barrel right beneath the civilian's chin, shushing her threateningly. Officer Cardona seemed to be keeping an eye on the guard, though he didn't voice our disunity. We picked someone who won't be willing to go toe-to-toe with human aggression. And I'm sure she'll answer our questions under threat of having her brains blown out.
Do you want us gone?
Tyler barked, in the most guttural tone he could muster. The Kolshian froze, with two gun-toting predators hovering over her.
Please leave. Not good food.
We don't want to eat you, dipshit. We're asking you to talk.
Samantha growled.
You play nice and answer the Gajit's questions. You don't have to see us anymore. You don't sing. We shoot you and find someone else that will. What will it be?
I'll help. But please, just ask and leave. Whatever you need.
Not so fast. You play games with us, or we find out you've been in any way untruthful. Then we come back. You'll wish we killed you up front, so think carefully about how you answer. Also remember that we're predators, so we're a lot better at deception than you are. Isn't that right?
Yes. What is it that you want to know?
I ambled up to the Kolshian as she quivered on the floor. It's an easy question. Do you know anyone who's involved with seditious activity against the Kolshian regime? Anyone suspected of treason, disloyalty, human sympathizing, or something in that vein?
I'm not involved with that sort of thing. Wait!
The civilian exclaimed as Samantha twisted the gun.
Look, I only know of one person who's under serious suspicion. The sister of a hated Kolshian traitor. She's been, ostracized since nobody knows how deep her involvement goes. Maybe her.
Tyler leaned forward.
Where is this suspect?
She lives 2 blocks down. Just go right when you exit my place. It's the bungalow with the vine braids flowing from her windowsill. You can't miss it. Is that all?
Yes, I grunted.
Are you going to kill me?
Samantha stepped back with the gun, though I could sense her scowl.
No. Time to go, guys. I've heard enough pathetic pleas for one day.
I turned on my heel, ignoring the stare of an abnormally quiet Onzo. That Yotul must have sensed my own doubt creeping in. He was thinking, just as I was, that the Kolshian's rumours seemed like shallow guidance to act on. I hoped this lead would bear fruit, but our sweep could turn into a long search. Familial relations to a traitor didn't mean this suspect agreed with his ideas, or was involved with resisting her government. However, she might know which players her brother had been connected to, so we could question those people with her help. It merited investigation. Even her partiality to us wasn't certain. Let's hope Sam is clear that we're not going in to intimidate this Kolshian. We need our potential ally to like us. We couldn't seek out the Shadowcast without proper information. I kept my complaints about the ceaseless walking to myself and instead led the way toward the suspected rebels' home. The single-story home was classier than the cramped dwelling we'd broken into. The last stop size had facilitated an easy sweep for our initial interrogation. As promised, thick vines flowed in artificial entanglements from each window. Faint recognition chimed in my head as I gazed at the peach stucco and manicured teal lawn. Was this somewhere that I had visited long ago? I hadn't associated with many people on this planet, but this seems familiar, I mumbled. Onzo tilted his head.
It's familiar because of the lawn. That quaint shade of turquoise matches the grass species indigenous to Skalga. That must have been imported off-world. The owner takes botany seriously to spend that many credits on...
Not that. It's like this place is tickling my memory. Samantha crossed her arms.
If you say it came to you in a dream, I'm going to backhand you.
Maybe it's nothing, but it's not like every building on Arthur looks alike. Anyway, we shouldn't be wasting time. I'll knock since we don't want her seeing you two first.
Fine. We'll stand off in the corner in time out.
Onzo perked his ears up before trotting up to the doorstep ahead of me.
And I'll talk to this Kolshian about interesting flora and their evolutionary quirks. We're going to hit it off if I have any say.
I hustled after him, wrapping my claws against the frame. You'll do no such thing. We don't need a babbling primitive scaring her. The door swung open seconds after I knocked, suggesting the inhabitant saw us coming. The Kolshian's skin was a light purple with features that I would recognize even after a decade. Her demeanor was sheepish, but her posture shifted once she'd focused on me. Her bulbous eyes widened with recognition, emotion swirling within. I stared at her in shock, feeling the buried guilt for my treatment of Marcel return. That answered who her traitorous brother was. My heart broke to know my first officer's name was being dragged through the mud. The Yotul squinted with puzzlement as I threw myself forward and dropped Orel in a hug.
Oh, so you're friends with this Kolshian?
Sam shuffled into view, huffing.
I'm thinking the same thing. Whose side are you on, Sovlin?
Right, it's... fine. I saw the predators on your approach. I knew they were here.
Orel stammered as she avoided looking at the Terrans.
I, have many questions for you, Sovlin. The first of which is why you're with them.
Because they're good people who deserve support. They're trying to repair the galaxy, and I trust them with that responsibility. Besides that, I owe them, I grumbled. I should have protected Rissel, Orsi, and I'm sorry. Tyler inched forward, tilting his head.
Real talk. Why are you so familiar with the Kolshian?
This is Rissel's sister, Tyler. You know, my first officer. The one who saved Marcel.
No shit. Well, I'll be damned.
The tall human's body language warmed in an instant, abandoning his standoffish posture.
Marcel would love to talk to you, but for now, we'll take care of you. I ain't forgot how much humanity owes Rissel. Khajiit might have wiped us out if not for him. That makes you one of us. Your name's Orsi.
Orel shifted with discomfort, clasping her tentacles together.
My name is Orel. You don't hate me.
Why would I? 'Cause you were born a Kolshian? That's as dumb as folks hating us 'cause our eyes are different. We're here for the Shadowcast.
I'm not their biggest fan. Please, come in. I don't want anyone seeing you talking to me.
Orel shied away as the humans padded into the residence. Onzo and I tailed behind, inspecting the interior's photographs and plants. My personal connection to this Kolshian likely helped her to accept that the Terrans weren't an immediate threat. There was no telling what she knew about the conspiratorial government, but I was pleased that she expressed distaste. It was also reassuring that Tyler spoke as if she was a friend, because I couldn't leave her to face whatever consequences were coming. I owed it to Rissel to get her off this world, safely with Dwert and Antimatter hanging over Arthur. One problem. If I'm not mistaken, Orel looks outright disgusted by the predators. I'm not sure she actually wanted to invite them inside, or would want to stick with us, even with a guarantee of protection. Oblivious Tyler made himself at home, slouching in a kitchen chair.
Right then, I'll get to the point. Is it true you're working against the Kolshian government?
Who told you that?
Orel hissed.
It's why we're here. We asked around and were told that your brother, that Rissel, was a traitor, and you might be too.
Again, slandering Rissel's name. Forgive me for raising my voice. I'm not challenging you.
I heaved a sigh. Odyssey, the humans aren't going to go off at a single insult. Believe it or not, they're immensely patient. I've challenged their wishes directly, even argued in bad faith, and nothing happened. They don't experience bloodlust.
My anger issues are much worse than Tyler's.
Onzo added.
Humans are soft. I was in the process of scientifically verifying that you can manipulate them just by adopting a cute expression.
If you want to be treated like a child.
Officer Cardona growled.
Look, Orel, we're trying to figure out where the Shadow Fleet's been hiding all these years. We were looking for someone who already wanted to take them down and has a head start searching. Given that I heard you say you don't like him, we're on the same side.
No, we're not! I haven't lifted a tentacle against the government.
The Kolshian protested.
People spoke out after learning about the omnivores, and every one of them disappeared within a day. Our leaders scare me almost as much as you do. I know they don't have our best interests at heart, and they'll do things like sacrificing evac shuttles. But what could I do? I didn't want to end up like Rissell. Everyone hates my race, so I can't leave.
I wrapped my arm around Orsel's shoulders as tears streamed down her face. Easy. I understand what it's like to be viewed as a monster. Maybe even to view yourself as a monster. So do the humans. Just because you didn't want to be killed doesn't mean you supported the Shadowcast.
But I'm not with humanity. I don't like or trust predators, and I'm certainly not pleased they've taken over my planet. Rissell told me to trust humans, just like you did, Sovlin, but I hoped never to interact with them. Whatever you say about bloodlust, they're built for killing, the same way a flower is coded to bloom. So I don't think I'll overlook their cursed lifestyle. I won't serve you, humans. If you need to kill me for that, get it over with.
Samantha had turned her back on the conversation, struggling to withhold her comments. Onzo had drifted to her side, since the Ortol's skill was in intellect rather than nurturing. I had already said my piece on humanity's kindness to no avail. That left a stupefied Tyler, who rose from his chair in slow increments. The human sank to one knee in front of Orel, rather than remaining at his full height. The Kolshian gasped as the predator pulled her into a gentle hug, despite the insults she'd lobbed at his species. If this display of empathy didn't convince her, nothing would. Tyler pulled away, bowing his head.
I'm disappointed to hear those thoughts, but thanks for your honesty. I'm sorry that we frighten you so much, but we won't kill you. Pinky promise. You ain't got to do nothing you don't want, or to like us. I mean, I wanted aliens to like me, but I guess it's hard when my lifestyle disgusts you. What I need is to remind you we both don't like the Shadow Fleet, so having them gone helps us all.
Plus, if we wanted to kill everyone on Arthur, we could have glassed you.
Sam commented.
She's right. But it's not up to us to decide what parts of nature, what life forms and which lifestyles are acceptable. We believe the galaxy has seen too much death and suffering. We wish we all could have got along. Even if you don't believe those words from a predator, the Shadowcast can't go through the motions of pretending to care. Doesn't that prove we're less bad than them?
Orel was silent for several seconds before she forced herself to gaze at the human.
I thought about reaching out to Earth before, but I knew you couldn't help me. You're dangerous. I must be out of my mind to be considering this. But the Shadow Fleet are predators too. So I guess I'm just selling them to their own kind.
You know where they're hiding? I gasped.
I have a guess. The Shadowcast always hides in plain sight, and their self-selected name is about hiding beneath the official government. What if it's literal? Where's a better place to camp under our noses than beneath the Federation's hull? There must be a reason the capital won't authorize the construction of new bunkers or anything underground.
That actually makes sense.
Sam acknowledged with a lilt of surprise. I flicked my claws in agreement. The hole is built like a fucking maze. Perfect for hiding corridors or rooms.
Ain't certain, but it's worth looking. Thanks, Orel.
Tyler growled.
Join us. I know how you feel about humans, but you don't really think Rissell was all wrong. We can help you start over. Also, if we find the Shadowcast, you can see the truth with your own eyes. You'll know that they are the enemy of all sapient life. Not us.
The Kolshian shuddered.
I'll join you in case you need more insight about Arthur. It's for the best to see that those monsters are taken out. Besides, it's not really a choice. If the Shadowcast hangs around and they find out I helped you, I'm dead.
That won't happen under our watch. And you have my word. We'll make sure Rissell's name isn't tarnished any longer. He had compassion for one of ours, and it cost him everything. I only hope that I can show half of the same kindness with you. Welcome to our family.
Onzo wagged his tail.
Welcome! I'll get in contact with you in command on the way. Let's go send those shadow pricks to an early grave.
Samantha raised her gun in agreement.
Come on, you heard the yo toll.
I coaxed Orel out of the door, grateful that I could achieve some penance for Risel's demise. His relatives were the closest thing I had to surviving family, apart from Hunter. I hoped our theory about the Shadowcast's location was correct, and that it correlated with where Slonic had been taken. Beyond rescuing that Venlil, we deserved the truth about why the Kolshians had set forth to rid the galaxy of predators. After everything we'd endured to get here, I was confident our team could face these final revelations together. It felt right for humanity to bring down the Federation's secrets on the same day their empire crumbled.